I have a long list of people that I'm supposed to forward the salutations to, but instead I will cut it short because I'd rather spend these very precious moments addressing the people, the true VIPs of today, the graduates who are going to go out there to face the world. So, with my salutations to the University Council, to the members of faculty and staff of the university, to the parents who have made it possible for these children to have come thus far in their lives. Most importantly, to you guys, the graduates of tomorrow. Well, the graduates of today, technically. As someone who has traversed a little bit of life, a little bit ahead of you guys, and taken the University of Hard Knocks, as it's known as my path. So I believe that the message that I'd like to leave with you today should be the DNA of QIU moving forward. It has always been my DNA. It simply boils down to 3 letters. I refer to them as the 3 A's: adapt, adjust, and accommodate. It simply means you have to change to every situation in life. Now, as Prof. Zita has pointed out, you are indeed a unique generation. You have had to go through different trials and different tribulations to get you to where you are today. You've probably been through things that, university students of the last 3 decades have not come close to. However, every generation is unique. Every generation has had its own challenges. What Prof. Zita probably didn't elaborate enough, and I would do so on her behalf, is that her own challenges were unique. And her own challenges to get to where she is today was a long and arduous road. Ultimately, in life, you get what you put in. There are no shortcuts. That's the first thing that we learn. What appears like a shortcut simply means that payment deferred. So it might appear like you have moved a little bit faster than everyone else, but it simply means that you are paying later. And paying later is always more difficult than paying earlier. So with due regard to what Prof. Zita says, which I agree with, you are a unique generation indeed, but I do believe that the generations before had their different challenges. If we go back to the time of your grandparents and great-grandparents, they went through a world war. They went through occupation. This nation was not always independent, not always free, and they didn't have the advantages that you have. They had to fight different battles. And your battles may be different in variety, but same in form. It will require a drive, a daring, and a determination. So it doesn't matter what you're going to come out there in the world to do, whether you're going to be doctors, communicators, working with special students, biomedicine, and the like. The world that you are stepping into is already ahead of you. Everything that you have acquired and learned over the last few years with us is going to be primarily redundant by the time you step out. The world has moved on at a tremendous pace, just as you have changed dramatically over students over the last 10 years. Likewise, when you step out into this working world, it's a working world like no other. I've had the interesting experience of addressing forums across the world, stretching from the World Economic Forum in Davos, addressing the ASEAN forums, addressing think tanks, and listening, which is really more important. And in the course of listening, the one thing that I have begun to recognize is that nobody has the answers. There are no experts out there in the field. The world of tomorrow is going to be dramatically different, but in ways that we will not be able to predict or understand. In 5 years or 10, the profession that you're stepping into will be dramatically different from the one that you're stepping into tomorrow. Now, what does that mean? It simply means that those of you who are going to do well will have to simply adapt to our DNA. Adapt, adjust, accommodate. Adapt means learn new things. As she has pointed out also, very interestingly, Alvin Toffler talks about learning first, which is what you have done, right? Then unlearning, and that is the most difficult thing. If you take a look out in society today, the biggest challenge of most of the people who have not been successful, because it is a very small percentage of people who actually become successful, and an even smaller percentage of people who are wildly successful, as in terms of beyond your dreams. And the difference comes down to this single factor, unlearning. So Alvin talks about, Mr. Toffler talks about learning, unlearning, and then relearning. But you can't relearn until you learn to unlearn. You have to empty the garbage that's in your mind. Unfortunately, 90% of whatever you have acquired is not going to be practical or useful in the life ahead, which means you have to learn to unlearn. But you can't unlearn when your mind is full. All right? There's a term in computer science known as GIGO. G-I-G-O. Garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't take the garbage out, then all that you have is garbage. Now, I'm not saying that everything you have done up to now is useless. I'm just saying there's different uses for it. The most powerful thing in the market ahead, in the jobs ahead, in the vocations ahead, is going to be your soft skills. A very recent study done by the Harvard Business Review, I am not just saying this because it's Harvard. You know, after all, we are competitors to Harvard ourselves, or so I'd like to believe. Have that faith, have that belief that Malaysia boleh, and one day we will have our own Harvard here, right here. But if you don't believe it, then, you know, it's not about how many kampungs it takes to educate you. You will never leave your kampung. Or rather, your kampung will never leave you. In order to leave your kampung behind and move ahead, you have to first of all believe. She talks about dreams. I'm saying to you, more than dreams is vision. Dreams is just what you have when you sleep. A vision, you dream when you are awake. You plan, you prepare, you project, you write it down, you visualize it, you put it on your shaving mirror or your makeup mirror so you can see it every day. Your real path in life begins right now. You think you have been studying hard for these last few years, that you have just gone through the biggest challenges? No, my friends. Let me prepare you for a little shock. Your journey has just begun. It gets harder from now, not easier. In fact, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you look back at these faculty members and others, any graduate sitting here that graduated 10 or 15 years ago, you go up to them and you ask them. They will tell you the best times of their lives was in college. They'll tell you the best times, the easiest times, the fun times was college and school. So what does that mean? That means you are walking right into the chaos that the world is. And the world is not a fair place. That's the first thing you have to remember. There is believing in the fact that it will be fair and therefore meritocratic and therefore you will get what you deserve. is a little bit of a pipe dream. You do get what you deserve, but not when you expect it. You first pour in everything that you need right now. And to understand this a little bit better, I'll tell you a little story, just a small one. Can or cannot? Can, huh? Small story. Boleh tak? This is the story of the bamboo tree. You see, if you throw bamboo seeds in your garden, nothing will happen. Unlike other seedlings that prop up and come up above, for air, the bamboo is invisible. For 5 years, there's nothing. For 5 years, if you were to, go look for it, nothing grows. And insofar as you're concerned, that's a bamboo tree that's essentially dead. But the reality is, in those 5 years, the bamboo tree has been laying a patchwork beneath the ground. And suddenly, just out of the blue, after that 5 years, the bamboo tree suddenly shoots up. And in a matter of weeks, if not months, it can hit 20, 10, 15, 20 feet, depending on the type of bamboo. Amazing. The reason why it basically is invisible for 5 years, it's been building its foundation. It's been building a network of roots that holds it firmly in place. So life is going to hit you with storms. It's not going to be sunshine, sugar, and spice all the way. There's going to be a lot of storms, fire, and turbulence. This is life. It will happen. Just as there are mountains, there are valleys. So the point is, as again Prof. Zita said, and I'll echo this again to you, it's not about how many times you fall down. It's about how many times you get up again. Falling down, biasa. You cannot learn to ride a bicycle without falling down. Right? For those of you who have not learned to ride a bicycle, you can try it tomorrow. The first sign of someone who has learned to ride a bicycle is the knees. The knees have always carry damage for the rest of your life. That is part and parcel of the process. But then eventually you stop falling. You learn to get up again. And riding a bike means you're going to be moving faster than someone who walks. It's as simple as that. So into this new world that you're going to go into, first, adapt. So adapt is about learning. First, whatever you have learned, you unlearn. Take out what you do not need, and there's always too much of that. Let go of what you do not need. Then you pick up on the third aspect, which is to relearn. And that's the reason why a great majority of people you have known in your lifetimes have never burst free into that wild area at the very top where you are incredibly successful. Because they never learn to unlearn. They never learn to let go and go in with an empty cup. So if you go to a waterfall, someone goes with a cup, another one carries a big, bucket. The person with the cup may come back with more water simply because it's empty and the bucket is full. So it's not a matter of how much knowledge you've gathered in your heads, it's how much you're going to let go. When you go in with an empty cup, you will always come back with more. And that should be another DNA of a QIU student. Empty your cup. Empty it daily if you need to. Be prepared to relearn. So that's adapt. Adjust. Adjust means you have to learn to give in. You have to learn to give in. You're going to be encountering new people. The last few years, your journey has been pretty much set in ways that you never expected, but it is set in ways. The places you have to go to, the lectures you have to attend, it's all pretty much along straight lines. Now you're going out there, and it's a wide, wide world. It doesn't matter whether you think you're going out into a fixed pattern or not, it's going to be dramatically different from where you're coming from, which means you simply have to learn to adjust. If you cannot adjust, you will break. A bamboo, again, usual example, bends in the wind because it is flexible. On the other hand, like a coconut tree. On the other hand, you have massive trees that break in the wind because they don't know how to bend. Learning to bend is a very powerful skill. Knowing when to bend, knowing how to bend. And remember, bending is always temporary. You always go back to your original position after. So adapt, adjust, and finally, accommodate. In order to accommodate, this is the aspect where you need to constantly acquire new skills, new cultures, new languages, new approaches, new everything. Keep learning till the day you die. It's the only way that you will live a life different from your parents, that you will live a life that your parents' aspirations and dreams are made of. You yourself are a product of at least 3 generations. Your grandparents helped put your parents in place, made your parents' lives possible to the best that they could within the limitations they had. So from your parents, grandparents, your parents came out, and from your parents come you, and that's a 3-generation journey. And that DNA is in you. Now you need to make use of it. As a Malaysian, I have always been very proud, and I'm from here, Ipoh, Mali. Kenapa pula? I am proud that I'm from here. And I believe till today that one of the reasons that I was able to go out there, meet the world, and survive. Surviving is the key. Because in order to thrive, you must survive. In order to survive, you must have the drive. Now, I come from a multiracial society. So I speak 3 languages before I was 12. And that is an asset. You are coming from the same background, where you are, in some form or another, the culture of 3, if not more, cultures have brushed you. Absorb it. Take it. It's an asset. This is what makes us so incredibly powerful as Malaysians, wherever we go in the world. As Malaysians, we are the only country in ASEAN. There are 10 countries in ASEAN, but we are the only country in ASEAN which does not have an 85 to 90% single ethnic majority. See, now all the professors are thinking about that for a minute. Oh, you see, look at the professors, they're all calculating. How about Singapore? 85% ma. Brunei, 95% ma. Indonesia, the same. Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, Burma, semua sama. Malaysia is the only country out of 10. I know this because I addressed the ASEAN forums, which makes us the bridge in ASEAN, the only possible bridge between the northern ASEAN states and the southern. The northern ASEAN states are bound by culture and language, and the southern, which we are a part of on both sides, are also bound by the same. So Malaysia's potential and possibilities make it what it is. And when you go out to the world, it doesn't matter where you go from here, where you travel, you will find that simply because you come from a multiracial background, you will be that much more adjustable, adaptable, accommodatable, which means you learn to survive. And that's already a gift in your hand. Are you with me? Ya? Boleh faham tak? Ini macam mendaki gunung. Sikit demi sikit. Life is not, about one continuous waterfall. It's about teaspoon at a time. Every single day, you need to have only one goal. Nothing major, nothing dramatic. 1% better than yesterday. Very simple. In one form or another, 1%, if I am 1% better than I was yesterday, now those of you who are better in mathematics than others, when you compound that 1% into 1 year, as an individual, you will improve 37 times. You will improve 3,700%. Just by improving 1% a day. And 1% a day is not impossible. It's very possible if you set your mind to it. There are no competition out there within you and your fellow men. There's only competition between you and the person you were yesterday. This is the only competition you will face throughout life. If at all you're going to get better, you need to be better than you were yesterday. You just cannot be worse. Forget about the rest of the planet. You're not competing with them. You're only competing ultimately with yourself. If you target to be 1% better every single day, you will grow in leaps and bounds. You will truly learn to soar, as Prof. Zita talks about. Soar does not mean flapping your wings. Soar is a term used when your wings are outspread, but you use the wind and its currents to pick you up. When the current changes, you are ready for it. That's how you soar. Eagles soar. Chickens flap their wings. You have to make one serious decision to yourself. Because ultimately, moving forward from now, this life is only yours. You cannot live for anyone else. You can live to be better yourself. So you have to decide, am I going to be a chicken or am I going to be an eagle? And that decision is going to be yours. Every single day is going to be yours. Don't blame the world. Don't blame the laws or the rules or the regulations. And for God's sake, don't blame your parents for who you are. Don't blame anyone. There is only you and you in this journey of life. So when you can compete against who you were yesterday by 1%, your life will change dramatically. I had the good fortune of meeting some great minds across the world. The so-called 1% of the world that are way up there in terms of the movers and shakers. These are the people who write the music that you listen to, who are the actors, the movies that you watch. Whether they are singers, actors, musicians, politicians, generals, leaders in any form or the other, they fall into that 1% of the category of being world changers. And I'll tell you, you got all your parents out here right now. The one question you can ask them is, would you want me to be in that 1% or the other 99? I can almost assure you, they would hope and pray and wish for you to reach that 1%. That 1% simply means this: you must be mad. Gila. If you are not gila, you'll be left behind in the 99. Because 99% of the world are not gila, or so they think to themselves. But the ones who are truly gila, mad, M-A-D, what does that stand for? Making a difference. Be born to make a difference in this world that you have come into. Be a little bit mad. Now, of course, for the 99% who look at you, you will always look bad and you will seem mad. But there is a very nice saying that I like to leave you with. Those who cannot hear the music will always think that the dancers are mad. Those who cannot hear the music, looking at a bunch of dancers on the dance floor, think, what the hell happened to them? Are they being bitten by ants? Is there a bunch of bees out there? Why are they jumping all over the place? Or in the terms of your grandparents, they can't even understand the music. Anyway, they still think you're mad. So, be mad. Make a difference. Adapt, adjust, accommodate. Be proud where you come from. Be proud of the 3 generations that made you possible in this world. And go out there and learn to soar. Choose to be an eagle. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Dato Sri, for your inspiring speech.